What's going on, Knicks fans? We have a loaded show for you today, but first, I want to kick it off with a question. Who would you rather have on the Knicks next season? Would you rather have Ben Simmons or Julius Randle? Type BS for Ben Simmons or JR for Julius Randle. And if you haven't yet, give me a follow on Twitter. The first 10 people that give me a follow, I'll make sure to give you a follow back. Welcome in to New York Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green, and we've got some trade rumors to get to surrounding Ben Simmons and Rudy Gobert. Bleacher Report put out an article highlighting 2 trades the Knicks could make, but we've got some news to get to first. And Ian Begley, he broke this news earlier today. If you're watching on Friday, he broke it on Thursday, and he said the Knicks are finalizing a contract with Rick Brunson. Yes, Jalen Brunson's dad, to become an assistant coach on Tom Thibodeau's staff, SNY has learned. And why is this newsworthy? Because Jalen Brunson is a free agent, and he's arguably the top target for the Knicks to go after in NBA free agency. I love Jalen Brunson. I love the type of player he is. I like the way he plays basketball on the offensive and defensive side of the court. And the thing I like the most about him is his numbers from the regular season to the postseason went up. He's a big-time player, and big-time players make big-time plays in big-time ball games. He averaged 21.5 points in 18 playoff games this playoffs. He averaged 3.7 assists, was very efficient, shot 46% from the floor and 35% from downtown. Jalen Brunson, although he's a smaller guard, he's an efficient player. He scores at all 3 levels, and he does everything a point guard needs to do in a Tom Thibodeau offense. So I want to ask you this question, Knicks fans. With the Knicks hiring Jalen Brunson's dad, I don't know if that's a move to go after Jalen Brunson, but there's definitely a little bit of smoke where there's fire. The Knicks are definitely interested, and we'll continue to keep you guys up to date on this. But I'll ask you this question. Do you want the Knicks to sign Jalen Brunson? Type S for sign or type P for pass. Story number 2 on today's show, and this one comes from Bleacher Report. They propose the Knicks should trade for Ben Simmons. Wow. Are we at this point of the NBA offseason where Bleacher Report and the NBA rumors are saying the Knicks could go out and trade for broke back Ben Simmons? Ben Simmons, look, he didn't play a game for the Brooklyn Nets after he was traded from the Philadelphia 76ers to the Nets in that James Harden trade. And does it really make all that much sense? Or is it a win by getting rid of Julius Randle and adding Ben Simmons? Look, we can debate about it, but the facts are the facts. Ben Simmons is a good basketball player, and what he's done in the past 4 seasons in the NBA, he's been a productive player. Didn't play this last season, but back in 2020 and 2021, 14 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, 55% from the field. That's the type of player he is. 16.5, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, 17 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists. His rookie year, he averaged 16, 8, and 8. This is someone that can do it all on the offensive side of the ball except shoot. He can get everyone involved. He can push the tempo. He's good in the pick and roll. He can be effective from the dunker spot. He's good around the rim. He likes to push the pace. He's good in the open court. The thing is, he just is afraid to shoot the basketball. And in today's NBA, if you can't shoot from beyond the 3-point arc, there's really not going to be a lot of playing time for you on the hardwood. But this is the Bleacher Report trade idea that they put out in an article earlier this week. They had the Knicks receiving Ben Simmons in a trade, and they had the Nets receiving Julius Randle, Alec Burks, and a 2023 second-round pick. So Knicks fans, I can't wait to hear you sound off on this one. I'll leave it up to you. Who were to be the winners of this trade if it were to go down? Would it be the Knicks because they get Ben Simmons and they get rid of Julius Randle? Or would it be the Nets because they get rid of Ben Simmons and they get Julius Randle? I'll leave it up to you. Type NYK if you think the Knicks are winners or BKN if you think the Nets are winners. To be objective, I'm going to give you guys 5 reasons the Knicks could trade or should trade for Ben Simmons. And then I'll give you 5 reasons I don't think they should trade for him. Look, Ben Simmons is arguably the best wing defender in the National Basketball Association. What he can do on the defensive end, Tom Thibodeau would love it. He can guard all positions, 1 through 5. He can switch on pick and rolls. He is a defensive savant when it comes to that side of the basketball court. And look, the Knicks, they need a point guard. That's no secret. I love Emmanuel Quickley. I'd like him to get a crack at being the Knicks starting point guard. But Ben Simmons, at this point in his NBA career, is a better point guard than Immanuel Quickley. And Simmons, he's just 25 years old. He hasn't reached the peak or the absolute top of his game yet. He's not in his prime. He's only going to continue to get better, and he's under contract until 2025 on a 5-year, $177.2 million deal. He has all the potential in the world. We can talk about the off-the-court stuff. We can talk about the injury stuff. But what he can do on the basketball court is not really replicated by anyone else in the NBA. That's why he was the number 1 pick in the NBA draft. But there's also reasons, in my opinion, the Knicks should not make a trade for Ben Simmons. He can't and he won't shoot. He won't work on that part of his game. I don't know if there's just a mental block when he gets more than 7 feet away from the basket. He doesn't want to put up jumpers. We've seen it in the playoffs. We've seen it in the big moments. And can he be effective in the half court when the game slows down in the playoffs and you have to just go get a bucket, whether it be a pick and roll or an ISO situation, and the game is slowed down? Can he be effective in the half-court offense? I have questions about that. Look, and he's not the most likable guy, and he's not really a great teammate. That pointed out in Philadelphia. Him and Joel Embiid did not get along. That did not work out. There's other players on the Sixers that Ben Simmons did not get along with. He has the back injury. He just had back surgery. 25 years old and already having back problems. That's a red flag, in my opinion. And the biggest question I have about Ben Simmons is, does he want to be great? Does he want to be a champion? Does he want to be a leader? Does he want to be someone that wants to get better every single time he steps on the hardwood? And for those 5 reasons, I'd pass on trading for Ben Simmons. I know he's a great player. I know he can do things on the court that not a lot of people can do. But sometimes it's what you don't do on the court. It's your mental makeup. I don't think he's tough enough to play in New York and be a part of the New York media and be talked about by New York media. I don't think he could hang in a big city like New York. New York City, this ain't Brooklyn, where the media is not there. They're not at Barclays. They're at MSG every single game. He couldn't last in Philly. I doubt he could last playing for the New York Knicks. But look, if a trade happens with Ben Simmons, we will be breaking it down on this channel. Go down right now, hit that big red button. We're trying to get to 7,000 subscribers. We're doing it for our guy Mello, 3 to the dome. Shout out to him, one of my favorite players ever to rock the blue and orange. But look, if you want videos on the latest Knicks offseason news and rumors, we're going to cover the hell out of the draft. We're going to cover the hell out of free agency. Trust me, lock us in. Go down right now and hit that big red button. Next story on today's show, and this also came from Bleacher Report. They put out a trade that the Knicks could go out and make a move for Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert could request a trade. What's happened with the Utah Jazz in the past couple of years in the playoffs? Him and Donovan Mitchell not getting along. The Jazz, I think, are going to make something shake this offseason, and from everything I've read and some people I've talked to, it sounds like Rudy Gobert is going to be traded and is more likely to be traded than Donovan Mitchell. I want Donovan Mitchell in New York, but it doesn't sound like that is all that realistic and going to happen. The Knicks and Mitchell Robinson, they're also not close on a contract extension. So if you lose out on Mitchell Robinson, maybe a fallback plan is going to get Rudy Gobert. But would a Rudy Gobert trade make sense for the Knicks right now? Does their timeline align? We'll break that down. No doubt, Rudy Gobert is one of the best centers in the NBA. He's been a defensive player of the year. He's a stopper on that end. He protects the paint, an elite rim protector. 2 blocks this past game. He averaged 15 rebounds as well, on top of 16 points. He's one of the best centers in the NBA. Shot 71% from the field, which mainly was just alley-oops, dunks, and putbacks. The thing is that type of player still that valuable in the NBA in 2022? This is the trade idea that Bleacher Report put out. They had the Knicks receiving Rudy Gobert while they would be shipping out Mitchell Robinson to Utah on a sign and trade. And they'd also be giving the Jazz Alec Burks, Evan Fournier, and the 2023 first-round pick, which was owned by the Dallas Mavericks, which came to the New York Knicks in the Kristaps Porzingis trade. And that would be top 10 protected, which means if that pick fell inside the top 10, the Knicks would keep the pick, and then the 2024 pick would then go to the Utah Jazz. We'll break down more, and I'll give you my full thoughts on Rudy Gobert, but I want to ask the Knicks fans and everyone watching this video, would you make this trade if you were Leon Rose and the New York Knicks? Type A for accept if you love to see Rudy Gobert and MSG, or if you think they're giving up too much and Rudy Gobert isn't the type of player you want to see on the Knicks, you can go down and type D for decline. For me, it's this simple. I would pass on trading for Rudy Gobert. I don't think the timeline of Rudy Gobert and the Knicks really align all too much. And at the end of the day, a 30-year-old center on a max contract that really only affects the game on the defensive side of the court, I'm good. I want my center to be able to produce and be a factor on the offensive end. Because when Gobert's on the court, it's going to make it more clunky. And it's going to be less spacing for guys like R.J. Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley and Obi Toppin to operate. I want to play with space and tempo for the New York Knicks. I think the Knicks are going to go a little bit more that direction this year. While Rudy Gobert would be great for Tom Thibodeau, he would be able to do everything he wanted on the defensive end. I don't think paying a max contract to a center that's 30 years old and doesn't give you anything on offense except rim runs and dunks is really the player you want to build around in 2022 in the NBA. I appreciate everyone that's clicked on today's show. If you haven't yet, give me a follow on Twitter. I'll make sure to give the first 10 people that follow me from this video a follow back.